You're listening to the Pharmacy Podcast Network.
If you or your patients struggle with muscle cramps, spasms, soreness, or restless leg syndrome, you're going to want to hear about our non-opioid TheraWorks Relief. TheraWorks Relief is a clinically proven and published locally acting topical solution that prevents and relieves muscle cramps, spasms, and soreness in the legs and feet. In a research study including patients diagnosed with restless leg syndrome, TheraWorks Relief was shown to reduce symptoms commonly associated with accompanying RLS, including muscle cramps and spasms. Muscle cramps are reported as a side effect of hundreds of prescription medications, from intravenous iron sucrose and conjugated estrogens to statins and diuretics. By managing muscle cramps, TheraWorks Relief supports adherence, helping patients stay on important and often life-saving medications. TheraWorks Relief comes in an easy-to-use, fast-absorbing, non-greasy foam that can prevent muscle cramps and spasms with just a few simple applications a day. To learn more about TheraWorks Relief, go to theraworksrelief.com and click on the Healthcare Professional link.
This is the Pharmacy Future Leaders Podcast, part of the Pharmacy Podcast Network.
Pharmacy Future Leaders is a podcast dedicated to pharmacy students by pharmacy students who are committed to making an impact on our healthcare system and providing optimal patient care as innovative and leading pharmacists. As Pharmacy Future Leaders, we dedicated our lifetime of service to others through the profession of pharmacy.
We will consider the welfare of humanity and relief of suffering as our primary concerns as we apply our knowledge, experience, and skills to the best of our ability to assure optimal outcomes for our patients.
And now, here are your hosts and Pharmacy Future Leaders.
Welcome to the Pharmacy Podcast Network. I'm your co-host, Geily Ward, with the Pharmacy Future Leaders. Today, we welcome our guest, John Hirschman, third-year student from Nova Southeastern University. John, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So I like to get to know our guests a little better since everyone's path is different. Can you share a little bit about yourself and how you got where you are now and why you chose pharmacy?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually kind of a funny story because, when I was growing up, a lot of people, including my family, thought I was kind of like, not the brightest child in the world. So didn't really get straight A's at all, K through 12. I think I may have got it one time. Graduated high school like a 3.0 GPA. And I just remember at the end of high school going, man, I really just want to be a professional. I want to be top notch. And I wanted students to look at me in the class going, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's on top of his game. So I started undergrad at FAU, which I don't even know how I got accepted, but I got in anyways. And all of a sudden I started getting straight A's. I started killing it, my chemistry exams, my bio exams. English, I struggled a little bit, but I still was, getting very decent grades. And then, ultimately I ended up with a 3.866 GPA, a 3.994 science GPA. So I've gotten more straight A's in college than I've ever had in K through 12.
Wow.
And then, obviously, during undergrad, my whole focus was getting into pharmacy school. So I had a good goal to go after. The reason for pharmacy school was somewhat had to do with my lack of confidence to go higher than that at the time when I was in high school. But when I was in high school, I remember seeing this little presentation they had there. One of the gentlemen there presenting was a pharmacist. And I heard what he was talking about, what he did for a living. I was like, you know what? I feel like I could do that. Like, it's something I'm able to do. And the whole idea was to get a job as a pharmacist and then eventually start my own business, doing something in healthcare. Doesn't have to necessarily be related to pharmacy, but I just wanted the background that pharmacy provided. And honestly, that's what kind of drove me all through undergrad, was get into pharmacy school. And now that I'm here, I'm like, wow, this is really amazing. I knew there was opportunities in it, but I didn't realize there was as many as I uncovered. Well, and then I guess, so going into pharmacy school from undergrad, right? So obviously my confidence in myself switched a little bit. So I finally got comfortable with my academic self. I'm like, okay, I know how to study, so that's good. But one thing I always knew about myself is I liked leading a group of people. I just didn't do it that often. When I was an undergrad, I wasn't really that involved. all I cared about was really focusing on my studies, getting A's, and, being happy in that sense. Also going to the gym. Gym's very important. You always got to go to the gym. Anyways, so I remember going to a meet and greet, actually, in the start of pharmacy school. And, we saw Farley. We saw all the SGA team. I remember going up to Farley, and I just saw how much life he brought to the party, how well his skills as a leader, like, really enabled people to speak up or, get out of their comfort zone. I looked at him, I was like, I want your position. And he looked at me for a second like I was crazy. He's like, oh, you be careful what you wish for. But I was like, okay, I want it anyways. And, lo and behold, I got a group of friends. We worked hard. We campaigned. I went to Palm Beach campus, campaigned to them. I went everyone in Fort Lauderdale. I took 5 minutes of my time, spoke to them, gave them a card that had all my information on it in the sense of, what my plan was to make College of Pharmacy united with the HPD programs and stuff like that. And honestly, ever since that, my whole life's changed in the sense of I just feel a sense of importance, like even more so than I did before, because now I'm reaching for goals that I never thought I would even consider before. So
that makes sense. You set your goals, and now you see a path where you can actually attain them. What was it that clicked inside of you from that guy in high school who was really just coasting by to somebody who's determined and has specific goals in sight that you're pretty much knocking out?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, essentially, I just remember I was actually hanging out with my dad, because I think something everyone should understand when I was in high school, it's not like I was a terrible person per se, but what it was is I just didn't care about academics in school. I used to go hang out with my dad all the
yeah.
Right. Yeah, it was normal, but in the sense, actually, I was still kind of abnormal because I used to hang out with my dad all the time. And what we would do is we would work on a truck. So I learned how to build motors. I learned how to paint. I learned how to do, work on gears and stuff like that for the running units of vehicles. So, I was all into that stuff. I was like, oh yeah, and I want to go work on my truck, or I want to go fishing, or I want to go work out. So it wasn't so much my brain wasn't working. It just wasn't working in the right arena. You know what I mean?
Right. Of course.
So, but then, like I said, that one day I was talking to my dad, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I want to be that guy in class where people look at it and go, damn, that guy is on top of it. So.
And you've definitely been on top of it at NSU. You've been super involved. Can you tell us a little bit about the organizations you've been working with and the work you've done? Oh,
of course. So I was fortunate enough to get elected the president-elect initially of the College of Pharmacy Student Government Association. And now I'm actually coming into the third year as being the College of Pharmacy SGA president. This position has been my life, honestly, just because I've been working so hard, so passionate for it. But essentially, what we're doing as a team, and it all started last year with the past SGAE board, is I was looking at the bylaws. I was looking at what are we doing? How are we managing our organizations and clubs here at the College of Pharmacy, and what could we do to make it better? And what I noticed was a lot of the problem didn't really stem from not having the right rules to follow. It's just that those rules weren't being enforced, or information that the organization needed in order to be successful. It was just really hard to find information. There was no centralized system. So I was like, damn, I was like, how do we fix this? So, obviously we're thinking about making a website, doing all this stuff. How can we just have one place where all the students can go just to get their information? And as the role of the SGA president-elect, I was actually able to go to some of these pan-SGA meetings and stuff like that, which pan-SGA just means all the SGA presidents from different colleges, like undergrad, business, and all those other HPD buildings or HPD programs. They actually all come together and we discuss topics relating to the student body. But however, they used a special platform called OrgSync. And to be honest, when I first used OrgSync, I really didn't like it at all. However, the more I use it, the more features I saw about it. And I was like, wow, this is actually the tool that we need in order to get a centralized information system. So throughout my whole first year as president-elect, I was on the mission of finding what platform we can use to centralize everything. And then I was also was successful in changing bylaws to get a new position called the Administrator of Public Affairs who focuses on making our flyers, making Facebook posts, Instagram, all this stuff to help with our public relations. And then we also changed the whole management system of the way the College of Pharmacy is ran. So now we have a student council and a senate, where before it was only a senate and it was only focused on the presidents. But now we have a new senate, which is all the class officers, and then the student council is actually all the presidents. So this kind of helps splits it up. So now we can kind of focus with the student council members on, are you guys able to pull your funds correctly from your accounts? Are you guys able to get the event scheduled that you want? Are you guys collaborating properly so that we can have, bigger and more professional events? And then on the other side, with the Senate, now with all the class officers, it's like, are we addressing the concerns of the student bodies? What are the concerns of the student bodies? What can we do to make them feel more comfortable, or at least ease the tension that they're feeling here at the College of Pharmacy? So we can really now start focusing in a little bit more on the student body and actually, serve them the best that we can.
Absolutely. And it sounds like you've been doing a great job. And this isn't the only thing that you have on your plate. You're actually part of the legislative task force. What are some things you guys are doing to, as you said, pave the way for healthcare advancement?
Yeah, so that's actually a really, really cool project. And we got to thank Farley and his team, because they actually the one who initiated the start of this idea of having a legislative task force. This year, what we did was actually change the whole management process of it, in the sense of originally it was focused on doing events that catered towards the students here at the College of Pharmacy, and they were kind of just explaining, legislation and the importance of advocacy and stuff like that. Well, this year, our focus turned to actually being a task force, in the sense that we go out to the pharmacists, we go out to the physicians, we go out to the legislators and actually speak about legislation that's actually concerning us now. And what we've been working on extensively is the collaborative practice agreement. So we've gotten articles from Dr. Sando, Dr. Kjelson, Dr. Baldwin, all these top pharmacists who are important in Florida for advocacy. And we got these important articles. We read through articles from Ohio that explain what Ohio did to be successful in passing their Collaborative Practice Act. We have different case studies from Iowa and things like that showed where the weaknesses were in their current laws for either using it or not using collaborative practice. So over the summer, essentially, I actually put together a package of talking points. I put together a list of goals, what our missions are. So obviously, legislative task force is advocating for healthcare advancement. It's not just pharmacy advancement in that sense, even though in this case, pharmacy can be a tool to actually advance healthcare forward. But the whole point is that we just want to improve the healthcare system. So not only the healthcare provider benefits, but also the patient and the public benefits. So yeah, we've been very active, and we're actually getting ready to have more meetings to discuss the topics, to be fluent in them. And then eventually we're going to be going out to the legislators and pharmacists, not only fundraising, but also just educating them on what's going on and why this is important for us to pass.
That's great, John. NSU has to definitely be very proud of you guys and the work that you're doing and representation that you're giving the school. What advice would you give students from other schools that are as interested as you to get involved, to, make pharmacy stand out, to make advancement in healthcare?
Well, the biggest thing is I always say you got to know what you want. So if you have no idea what you want, then you don't have any direction in life. Like what is it that's going to make you tick? I've always been involved in updating myself on politics, what's going on, this and that. But aside from that, you really need to know what you want, why you want it, and then you need to decide whether or not you're going to go get it. Because it's good to have the idea in your mind, but if you don't make that decision on saying, okay, I'm either going all in or I'm not going at all, then you're still going to be in limbo.
Absolutely.
Honestly, but the importance of getting involved in something you're passionate about. And trust me, it's not like I came to school, pharmacy school, saying I'm going to be the SGA president, because I didn't even know what really that was because I just wasn't involved in high school or undergrad. But I came into pharmacy school knowing that I wanted to be a top representative. You know, I was like, I wanted to be an official representative of the College of Pharmacy. I didn't really know what that meant before coming into pharmacy school, but I knew I wanted something like that. And then when I got here, I was like, you know what, I'm going for it. So I decided on it. And then after that, it's about work, you know, it's about working with your friends. Unity is a huge thing. Most people don't realize that, you know, you're where you are today because of all the help of everyone around you. And I know a lot of it, you know, a lot of hard work from the individuals involved too, but that's not enough to get you to where you need to be. Like, obviously your family helped you to get to this point in life. Your friends may have helped you to get to this point in life. So you just got to remember, especially when we're dealing with this profession of pharmacy right now, our unity, how united we are, isn't as strong as some of these other, you know, other association, other fields, which is a big hindrance on us, because now, you know, when we go to like fight something in the sense of, you know, that's going to benefit either pharmacy or just benefit healthcare in general, we're not taking that seriously because our voice isn't as strong because we're not united. So that's a big thing, is realizing the importance of unity, and then really just getting on the grind, you know, working hard, not stopping. When you get tired, you still go do it anyways, and persevering through that long road. And eventually at the end of the day, of all the hard work, you're going to see your work pay off.
Absolutely.
You just gotta have faith in it. Yep. Yeah, you gotta have faith.
Agree 100%. Now let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about your future. Do you plan on applying for residency after fourth year?
Well, it depends, because I'm actually honestly 100% interested in joining the United States Air Force, and, you know, as an Air Force pharmacist. And this is really because I've always wanted to serve. I mean, even when I was in high school, I was considering, you know, becoming a Navy SEAL, which is totally different direction than where I went. But I was doing all the trainings back then, and honestly, just being able to have the chance to, you know, serve this great country that provided so many opportunities to me and so many opportunities to everyone else would just be, you know, truly a dream come true. And it would be one of the greatest accomplishments, I feel like, of my life, to be able to do that. But, you know, obviously if I get into the Air Force, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to serve this country. I want to serve our airmen and provide the best healthcare possible, learn what I can from that position, and then carry it on to potential endeavors, and, you know, either running for state legislation positions, starting my own business, or something of that nature. If I'm not able to successfully get into the Air Force, I do consider doing a residency, only because residencies are really, in my opinion, the way of the future, in the sense of what we need to know as pharmacists is becoming a little bit more advanced. And it's not that, I know residencies are hard and they're challenging, but the thing is that they force you to look at the information, which is such an amazing thing. And when you're doing the constant research and stuff, it's really going to help you when I feel like that advancement of pharmacy occurs, especially if we get collaborative practice and hopefully some type of provider status to allow us to bill more for our services. It's going to be a big deal. So definitely either Air Force, and if that branch doesn't work out, then obviously definitely going to do a residency.
And let me ask you one thing before we head off. If you could change one thing about the profession of pharmacy, what would it be?
I think, honestly, the one thing I would change is, I don't think people in the pharmacy world take it as, like the older generation, I guess, maybe more so, but I don't think they took it as seriously. And I just wish that they would, I wish that it was taken more seriously, and then we were more united in our stance. Honestly, if I could say one thing, I wish pharmacy was more united in what they believed. Because I believe, obviously, if we were that one voice, we'd be 10 times of a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So, unity.
Absolutely. Well, you told me before starting the interview that your aspirations would go as far as becoming president of the United States. So I really hope your dreams pan out and your plans go as planned, and you make it to the top of the mountain and sit at the White House and help healthcare. If you did make it to that point, what do you think you'd change in healthcare, and what plans would you start off with?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. President of the United States, full blown. Another reason why I want to serve in the military, get the experience and of being in the military before I become the president. But definitely in healthcare. The truth of the matter is, I'm actually still too ignorant to even have a really great plan to put in place right now, just because there's so much complications within it.
Right.
So obviously, the first thing to do would be make it less complicated, especially with how the billing works and everything like that. It just makes it too hard on patients and providers to actually care for their patients or for what's going on. I mean, more people are afraid to go to the doctors now because of the high cost than to go because they need the treatment, you know? So the question is, how do we lower the burden not only on the patient, but also on the physicians or any kind of healthcare provider that's providing that service? Because, that's a big issue. All the malpractice insurance and things like that's big stress on a healthcare provider. So now they got to spend time worrying about that, not to mention do all these complicated diagnoses and stuff like that for the patient and try to figure out what's wrong with them. So there's too much stress right now in the healthcare field. And I think, ironically enough, right, there's too much stress in the healthcare field. But,
right.
But that would be the biggest thing, is what system can we put in place to relieve the stress and actually
allow them to perform their jobs as healthcare providers. Agreed.
Exactly.
I agree. Perfect. John, thank you so much for joining us. Is there any shout outs you want to do? Anything you want to talk about before we say bye? Shout out to my girlfriend, Ellen. Shout out to Dr. Kjelson, who's been instrumental in helping all this move forward. Shout out to Emmanuel Escobar, who's been one of my right-hand mans and working on all this stuff. Isabel Jacobs, she's an amazing young lady who's very talented, very bright. You'll probably be hearing more about her. The Dean Desiel, she's awesome. She's been supporting me. So, and also this is awesome. I mean, you reached out to me. I thought this was awesome. So I was like, absolutely, I would love to do this. So thank you for the invitation to do this. I really, really appreciate it. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, John.
No problem. Have a good day. Thank you so much.
The mission of the Pharmacy Future Leaders podcast is to support all pharmacy students by providing advice, direction, stories, and sharing with each other.
Be sure to use the hashtag Pharmacy Future Leaders on all social media. We thank you for listening to our podcast. Please send us an email if you're interested in being on the show. Send your message to pharmacyfutureleaders@gmail.com.
Just remember, never give up, stay positive, eat healthy, get your sleep, and know why you wanted to be a pharmacist from the beginning, to help others live healthier lives.
We are Pharmacy Future Leaders.